Hunter Tyson has been playing the role of the 6/7th man, really,
Mhm.
in place of Peyton Watson, with Peyton out in the preseason. What did you think of Hunter's performance in that combo forward spot, um, in these different lineups?
I think it was the first game he made some more
He made
threes,
some
right?
shots in the first game, yeah, not
Yeah.
so much in game 2. He also
So I got it
but he
there.
did grab 10 rebounds in game 2, and I'm like, "When did that happen?"
Yes, yeah, that was literally my takeaway. I came out of that, I was like, "Wait, did he have a double-double? When did
He
that
led
happen?"
the he
Dude,
led the game, I believe, in rebounding.
preseason, sometimes I'm just like, I feel like that is, like, I don't know, I don't remember that happening in the game, but I
I
mean,
will say he
it
did
happened.
rebound a lot in summer league as well, in
Yeah,
both
he was a good
years.
rebounder in college too. He was like a double-double. I think he was top 5 in the nation in his senior
Yeah,
that's a
he was
yeah.
definitely up there.
So, that's a good skill to have. Rebounding is gonna be really important for the Nuggets. So if you can keep that up, that's a skill probably I didn't think about enough with him. I
Mm,
think the thing for him is always just like, and for any forward in the NBA, is finding that position. He's put on a little bit of weight, a little bit of weight. So that helps. I think he's probably a idealized version of him is probably a 4 in the NBA. Um, so I think adding weight will be that's just a hard position to play. There are so many different 4s. Like, there are Julius Randle power bigs. There are, like,
yeah, I'm not
hyper
putting Hunter
athletic.
Tyson on
Yeah.
Julius
There's,
Randle.
like, PJ Washington, super toolsy athletic bigs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different 4s, but I would ultimately say I think that's where I'm curious to think what are your thoughts on what his position is defensively? Because offensively, I get it. Like, he's gonna space.
So, one of the things that's really concerning to me about his defense is how he guards closeouts. I think he's pretty easily the worst closeout defender on the team. Um, and that's not something that I've paid that much attention to until we were praising Christian Brown so much for how good he is at defending, like performing a closeout on defense and making it so that the guy can't blow by you, but this has been an issue with Hunter since summer league last year, which was his good summer league. Um, and so I don't really want him guarding any perimeter player at all. And so that's why I agree with you that the idealized version is a
Yeah.
4, but I do think that even if he puts on weight, he's quite undersized at that position. There are guys that play an undersized 4 in the NBA. I'm thinking like um is it KJ Martin on the Sixers
Sixers now.
sometimes, or
Yeah.
um Bruce Brown too.
Right.
I just don't know how much weight/strength. Like, I feel like it's gonna have to go up a lot from where it is right now defensively. A lot of people have pointed out, like, yeah, he did hit shots in game 1, and those were, like, great to see, because that was another thing I was worried about, is his ability to react to NBA athleticism on the offensive end. It seemed like he was very uncomfortable shooting against NBA closeouts from other defenders. He didn't make shots in game 2, but he did take them. Like, he wasn't hesitating, so that was good to see. Um, I think the shot release maybe looks a little bit
I
quicker
think
than
it's
it did
quicker.
last year.
I think it's quicker,
But
personally.
it's still like a little bit slower than I'd like to see. But he is taking them. I'm just wondering if he's getting them off in time before the closeout maybe affects the shot.
Sure.
But, step 1 was don't hesitate anymore, and he's not doing that, so that's good. Step 2 is, like, is the shot actually getting off fast enough that you can, that your line of sight to the basket is unimpaired and all of that.
He's also able to hit
Yeah.
shots. He hit that one in game 1 where he's, like, in the corner and he wasn't fully, I don't know if he had fully had his feet set.
Yeah.
Good that you hit that shot. Yeah, I guess the big thing for him will just be defensively, where does he fit in? And
Yeah.
that'll be the key question, I think, for him.
Right, but I do
this year
think
for
he's
sure.
one of those guys who's, like, in the running, frankly, to be, like, the 10th man on this team. I think that
Well, he played a lot.
he
Like,
did.
he
I mean,
played a lot,
he was
so
the 10th man in these games, and he played
yeah.
enough to grab 10 rebounds in
Right,
games
right.
too. Let's talk about Zeke Nnaji, who is the other guy, in the running for a power forward, a backup power forward, spot here. Um, I thought this was not a good showing from Zeke in both of these games. He did have some highlight plays, let's say. He made a 3 in game 1, from the wing, and he also hit, like, a turnaround
He
jumper
had a
near the
couple.
basket. A couple of
I
turnarounds?
I think he hit more than one. Didn't he hit one in game 2?
I
The second
remember
half
the
of
one in
game
game
2 is a
1.
blur. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "I don't know what's going on here."
Yeah, it devolved into a summer league game
It
because
was a
those
lot
were
of
the
JD
players on the court.
Davidson. Like, there were a lot of, like, Jordan maybe not. I think it was JD Davidson was hitting a bunch of
Yeah.
shots. Sam Hauser was hitting pull-up mid-range shots, and I was like, "Wow,
Yeah, he
this
took
is"
Zeke off the
eh.
dribble and hit a pull-up midi in his eye. I didn't really love seeing that either. Um, Zeke had a couple of transition turnovers, which weren't great. One of them off a steal that he had forced, and I was like, "Okay, that's great." Like, they got themselves another possession, but then he ends up turning the ball over in transition as he's trying to kind of force the ball up the floor, I think a little bit too quickly. I didn't love the process, frankly, from Zeke Nnaji in both of these games. And the reason I bring this up is that I think the fact that Zeke is making the kinds of mistakes that he's making, like regardless of the potential positives, it lowers his floor in my mind. And it's difficult to make the rotation on this team if you're going to
Mm,
be prone to certain lapses. I think that Dario needs an athletic forward playing next to him. We talked about AG and MPJ playing that backup four role, but in terms of being a regular season innings eater, I think that Zeke has or had the potential to be primed to, fill that role in the regular season, especially given that Duran is going to be out for the season with his Achilles injury. And I thought that this was a missed opportunity in Abu Dhabi to demonstrate that he could do some of those things, like defend well,
yeah.
rebound, like just do forward things, and in a position where he didn't have to play the five in either of these games.
Well, he prefers the 4.
Right.
He's been pretty vocal about that, and the 5s that they have are really good fits for Zeke, right? So, like, not just for Zeke, but, like, really, like, play like, good Zeke, like, is a good fit for those guys too with,
Right.
Yoke and skills that would make sense next to Dario, and I'll probably just leave that there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess I need to see more is my point. And I hope there's a reversing of course from what Zeke was doing. He talked at media day about how this summer he obviously worked on his shooting. That's something he's always working on, and the ball handling, but also attacking from the perimeter.
Mm,
And let's the results were mixed, if I'm being generous, on the effectiveness of those things. And I kind of wanted to see more of like, can you do like dirty work for things more than that stuff. It's preseason. So just like
yeah,
A gets to take his middies. I just think that some of these guys have different things that they need to show because they're
for
they're
sure.
not a lot of the rotation, and the rotation needs very specific things. So um I'm hoping that one of them demonstrates some of those skills because as much as I want to see those lineups with, AG playing backup four, basically,
Yeah,
next to Dario and MPJ playing the four next to Jokic and Dario. Like we need regular season innings eaters. This was the narrative coming out of last
yeah,
season, how the starters were burnt out, and staggering them is, one way just like run away with games and maybe you get more rest at the end of games, but injuries happen, all of this stuff happens, and I just think that the power forward depth is still highly questionable despite the fact that nearly a third of our roster is power forwards. We talked about this the last time you
There's
were
a
on
lot
the
of power
show,
forwards.
actually.
Yeah.
Wow, almost half the
Full
roster is
circle.
between power forwards and centers, just all bigs. Like, we're just gonna have so many now.
Yeah.
But I'm more worried about that position than I was going into preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I think the backup power forward position as stands through 2 preseason games is probably the 10th man, and I guess the best way I could put it is that 10th man plays 10 to 12 minutes, and you want them to be not a mistake-prone 12 minutes, and you want, like, "Hey, just do, like, 1, 2 things really well." So, whoever does that the best, I think is gonna be your 10th man. And if the
Yeah,
answer is there isn't one, then maybe you go 9 man and you start doing some of the AG, MPJ at the 4 staggers that, but I think first, because Malone definitely likes to go a longer rotation, especially early in the year, and then he kind of hits that like February point. Part of their run last year post All-Star break, on top of just being very motivated, I think is part of it was they cut their rotation down a little bit. Um, so that, I think, ultimately whoever does that well, whether that's Hunter's 3-point shooting and his rebounding, or Zeke um, with his switchability and him hitting the offensive glass, that's a clear area for him. And there will be opportunities if they're shooting more threes with that backup unit. There's more opportunities to get long rebounds if shots don't go in. Which, if you're shooting more threes, although they are statistically a better shot, I guess, in a way, you're shooting a lower percentage, so there's more rebounds, right? So, point being, whoever does their 1 to 2 things the best is probably
mhm,
in line for that spot, but there will be ample opportunity, I would say. I did not feel like there was a clear cut, "Oh, this is the 10th man." That was not my feeling coming out of,
right.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I agree. So actually in that vein, and I mean this completely unironically, would you like to see more from PJ Hall, who is another player, the two-way
Mm,
player, PJ Hall, that could potentially fill that role? He was playing the 5 mostly
yeah, I
when,
think he's a
he was in summer
5.
league.
Yeah, I think he's a
Yeah, but he's an
5.
undersized 5.
Like,
And
but
we have
I mean,
Dario
yeah, I guess that's
also,
fair. I guess that's fair.
right? Like,
I guess
we
that's
have a
fair.
lot of we have a lot of tweeners at that forward spot, and can he offensive rebound? Can he defensive
Sure.
rebound? I saw him switch out onto the perimeter. He did that a fair amount actually in summer league also to guard out in space. Obviously, it's against summer league competition. He did this a little bit
Right.
in Abu Dhabi against like Celtics fourth string competition. I'm curious to see if he is someone else that gets a, second or third look in preseason by the coaching staff, just because like we are literally kind of grasping to
Mm.
fill that 10th man power forward spot. Like, can you guys do like a couple of things and like not make mistakes and things like that?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, you probably will see more of him. There will be inevitably like a
Right.
preseason game where just none of the starters play.
Where it's a
So
summer league game.
that will be the sicko craze game where you're all in on the PJ Hall minutes. I'll be all in as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, I don't know.
Mo Wagner plays the 4 sometimes for Orlando. That's all I'm saying. And that was my PJ
Mm,
Hall comp, or his like ideal NBA
yeah,
comp.
he
I'm
shot. I
just
liked
saying.
his shot in summer league a lot.
Oh, that's right. He was doing some pick and pop. So
Yeah,
that's something. I'm just saying, like, I'm willing to get creative here. I'm not being precious with the backup power forward spot given the state that it's in. Okay, Trey Alexander. I didn't have any clips for him. Was there any particular clips that you wanted to play? But I had some
I
notes.
don't know.
Okay, no, that's
Let's go for
fine.
notes.
Let's just go through the notes. So, in terms of the negatives, I don't he wasn't blowing by guys like he was a bit in summer league. He did get all the way to the rim a couple times, but it wasn't
Mhm.
on like a straight blow by. I do think that he attacks closeouts smartly though. He doesn't have that explosive kind of athleticism that is evident, and we kind of knew that already. I did think that he lacked aggression at times for sure, but it's preseason, like first preseason game. He's
Yeah.
kind of thrown in like near the end of the game. It was something that we talked about in with respect to his summer league debut that Will and I talked about. And he would kind of like wake up in like key or like clutch moments. Even Jamal talked about how he wants Trey to be more
Yes.
aggressive.
Yep.
But the positive of that is that he totally fits into these lineups. He's not hijacking possessions when he doesn't have anything. It's not like the possession dies there because he's holding the ball too long. He tries to get it out and like find someone else to try to make a play as quickly as possible, which is good. We haven't seen him play at all really with the main rotation guys. So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing over the preseason games just because I think that he might be somebody that's playing down the stretch of the season just, like, later and might be able to help us out in some regular season games just because of the state of the current backcourt rotation. He had a nice floater. He had a 3, especially in game 2, I thought he was kind of finding his footing a little bit more. The outlet passing continues to stand out,
Hmm.
and I looked it up, I didn't even realize that in game 2, he had 5 assists. He led the team in assists in game
There you go.
2 in his, like, very limited minutes. I think he played, like, less than 20 minutes in that game. Um and I just had a note here that, Jamal might be taking Trey under his wing. Trey was the first, like, new player on the team, that Jamal, like, followed on Instagram, so, that's just you heard it here first, folks. Um, I wanted to know from your perspective what the highest end, but is reasonable
Yeah.
outcome is for Trey Alexander's role in the rotation. I've talked about how I could see him playing the kind of role that, last year it was Jalen Pickett and Colin Gillespie minutes, like when, say, Jamal was out and like Reggie can't play 48 minutes. You need
Yeah.
another guard out there.
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you think his role could be, especially taking into account that he is on a two-way contract? He's not in the standard rotation or
Think
standard
that's
roster.
it. Think that's exactly it. A guy that, yeah, I might play a couple minutes here and there, 5 minutes in a November game, but really is there, like, if there's an injury, and I just think he looks like he belongs, which is a really good thing. I've been impressed by the shooting. I think some of the college shooting numbers, they improved, but they were a little up and down. Um, so the shootings look really good to me, and I think that's
Yeah.
a huge positive. He hit one of those shots was like a catch and shoot 3, right?
Yes.
That's really important. Yeah, Nuggets are in a good it's kinda nice. There's a lot of good guards. So that's a pretty crowded position. There are a
Really?
lot of
A crowded position? I think it's probably the most shallow position on the team right now.
you have 2 you could even play Peyton at the 2. You could do it. So
Right.
that it's okay, so I'll put it like it's there are we saying shooting guards? Are we gonna go, like, traditional,
I'm
or are we gonna go, like, point
traditional
guard?
and shooting guards. Like, if we excluded Peyton from this, because it didn't seem like Michael Malone was really seeing Peyton as a shooting guard based on his comments at Media Day, even though we've talked about the possibility. But
I'm not giving up on the dream. I still like it. Yeah. Alright, so if we're not saying Peyton there, maybe it is a little more shallow, but there's like 4 guys I think that have legitimate will be out there a lot. Um, like any team, if there's an
yeah,
injury, that's probably the situation where you're running into. But 4 really good players like Jamal, Christian, Julian, Russ, like those are all guys that are gonna be in the playoff rotation. So that's what I mean by like
I
that's a
see.
good amount of players.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, I get all right. So I'm with you. It's definitely like a situation of he's there if there's an injury, which long season there probably will be. You knock on wood, but there probably will be. Um, and I just he's impressed. I need to see more too. That's the
Yeah,
other part of it. Um, it's a lot of his minutes have come in the second half of these games. You're playing against kind of other end of bench guys
yes.
or guys that are
And
on
not
two-way
and also
contracts
not with the main rotation guys on your own team
for
too.
sure.
So I
So
wanna
it
see what that looks like as well.
I'm super curious, but I've liked it. He gets to his spots. He's continuing to do everything that he did in summer league. Like it seems like he knows what he's good at, which is um nice. Like
Yeah.
really what you want from a young player, especially a guy who's going to be maybe playing spot minutes a little bit more. Um if he can come out and say, "All right, I'm gonna do this, this, and this because I do these things well, and I'm gonna do them in these minutes," and not it's like kind of like an empty like empty chest. What's the expression I'm looking for? Uh,
Yeah, an empty chest,
empty.
like you're thinking of an empty
Yeah,
cupboard.
yeah. Lots of like tools, but not. He has like specific strengths. Is kind of what I'm trying to say. So,
Right.
I think that's what you want from a third guard. I thought like Colin did that last year. Actually, like Colin comes
Mhm.
in and he does like the shootings. Like he can
Shooting
space
was
the
pretty
floor.
good, yeah.
He's gonna get the ball to yoke, which is a great skill to have. And I thought just like generally he knew where to be.
He
So
was even cutting to the rim for layups against the
yeah,
Blazers, like,
yeah,
he was
like
ready.
he was. So yeah, that's kind of what you want from a kind of third point guard. Whatever he is. I don't know what he is yet. Slashing
Right.
guard, point guard.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know all that yet.
he had some nice reads out of pick and roll too, just, like, making some cross court passes as well. I
Yep.
think that that's an area of his game that he's talked about wanting to continue to improve in, and he describes himself as a playmaker. Watched I've I've watched a lot of Trey
You
Alexander
watched a
film
lot,
over
Trey
this
Alexander.
summer,
Yeah.
and, I think that he's trying to manifest being a playmaker, which, might happen, but he didn't get a ton of reps at Creighton. But we'll see. We shall see is the
Right.
motto of this season. All right, the very last player that we have to talk about is Jalen Pickett, who definitely did not have a great time in Abu Dhabi either. Just really a continuation of the issues that we've seen, but were really like exacerbated, I think, in summer league, where he's not able to create advantages in order to create passing angles and whatever for others. And he's also not able to create a ton of separation for his own shot. He did hit one catch and shoot three. I think actually the play that I was thinking of from Trey Alexander, where he is able to
Mhm.
make this nice cross court pass, is Jalen Pickett cashed it from the corner.
Left side.
Yes,
Right. No, right
right side,
side.
right
Right
side.
side. I'm not good with left and right. I'm not gonna lie.
It's left from somebody's perspective.
I get really mixed up.
Um, but the shots that he created for himself, they just like were not going down. A lot of them were short. So just again, a continuation of what we saw in summer league. What do you see as similar for really how we talked about with Trey Alexander? Like, what do you see his role being on this team, particularly like late in the season? Do you
I
think that he
think
could
it's
play backup minutes
I think
or
it's pretty similar because, the Russ like, even though the backcourt is I guess it's shallow, it's 4 really concrete options, and
right?
assuming those guys stay healthy, it's probably, like, that sorta leaves him and Trey as, like, the 3rd string guys, right? So about the same. I don't think his role is, like, dramatically different. Yeah, it really is gonna come down. He'll have spot minutes, he'll play. I expect it to be pretty similar to last year, where, hey, maybe there's an injury and now you're coming in and we've started Reggie and you're gonna come in, you're gonna play these backup minutes. We're gonna see how you look on a November night. But yeah, it's gonna be about the same thing. This year, it's instead of him and Colin, it's him and Trey to me, for that 3rd string. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. And then by the end of the year, you'll know pretty well what the playoff rotation looks
yeah.
like. I don't think it's too different for him.
Well, between the my concerns, Matt is not as concerned with the current ball handling depth on the team, but between that and the questionable state of the power forward rotation, I think the moral of the story is that they should extend AG right away. Uh, to the audience, please, if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. We're really trying to grow the channel. Please remember to hit the like button, also hit the notification bell, and definitely subscribe to our clip channel at What's in a Game NBA Clips. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.